Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited you guys are joining me for what is kind of sad because it's my final Bali video, but I learned a bunch of things while we were traveling in Bali, and I think that they would be super helpful to you if you are planning a trip to Bali. So let's get into it. So number one thing that I learned right when we got off of the plane in Bali was that sunscreen prices are insane. Like, I have never seen sunscreen more expensive, even natural organic sunscreen. So for my first tip, I highly recommend that you pack sunscreen in your checked bag. Even if you have to pay for a checked bag, I guarantee you it's cheaper than there. The highest price of sunscreen we saw was $40 for just like an average size bottle. And then for one that was this small, like the size of a travel hand cream, was $18. Keep in mind, these are Canadian prices. I just could not bring myself to pay that much for sunscreen, and I'm so glad that we packed our own. So if you're going, pack your own. When we were planning our trip to Bali, we had a couple day trips that we were like, oh, we'll just rent scooters, because we saw so many videos and recommendations that said it was so easy to rent a scooter. It was so cheap, like $5 to $7 for the day. And then we got to Bali, and we saw how crazy the roads were. And as people who don't really drive motorcycles or scooters, we just couldn't do it. So we decided not to rent a scooter. When you guys are planning your Bali trip, I would highly recommend asking yourself the question, how comfortable do I feel on a scooter or motorcycle? And if you've never been on one, I would say don't plan your trip trying to rent a scooter. Keep in mind that in Bali, they drive on the left side of the road. When we were there, we barely saw any traffic control, like no stoplights, no stop signs. Make sure that if you are planning to rent a scooter, that you've been on one before. So because we didn't end up renting a scooter, we decided to walk everywhere. And honestly, the weather was beautiful, and so walking was not that bad, and everything we wanted to see was in very close proximity. But I had no idea that Bali did not have sidewalks. Like in Canada, we have very wide, spacious sidewalks. Bali, no. You're walking on the road, you're walking over holes that drop down into sewage, I think. There's power lines like inches above your head. It was just a bit of a culture shock, but just something to keep in mind when you're planning your trip. The other mode of transportation we used aside from walking was Gojek and Grab. These are online apps, much like Uber, that we saw in a bunch of other people's videos and made traveling between cities or to further destinations so much easier, and I highly recommend them. If you're feeling proactive, I would set up your Gojek and Grab accounts before you get there so that you don't have to worry about how you're gonna get to your Airbnb or your hotel from the airport. And you can also then familiarize yourself with the app and just sort of start comparing prices, because they are very competitive. I will say that Gojek and Grab were both very affordable, and any place that we went that were just slightly further than we wanted to walk, or even if it was a 20-minute drive, were very cheap. Like, these are not your North American Uber taxi drive prices. One thing to note is that the local taxi drivers really do not like online taxi services. So we were able to get dropped off in a lot of the touristy main areas. However, later that night when we wanted to get home, that was not an option to get picked up from. One of those examples is the Ubud Monkey Forest. So we got dropped off there, but we couldn't get picked up there. Speaking of local taxis, I'm pretty sure that every single person in Bali is a taxi driver. There were local taxi drivers everywhere, and they all just hold up these signs asking if you need a taxi, saying buzzwords like Tagalang rice terraces, Bali swings, just because I don't even know what they do with their day. I don't even know where their car is parked, but there were so many of them. We didn't take one once, but we heard that they were much more pricey than the online taxi services. So be prepared for the local taxi drivers to be yelling, "Taxi, taxi," at you a lot, or if they're in their vehicle on the road, honking at you a lot. So on the topic of honking, because we walked so much, we did get honked at a lot, and at first we had no idea why. So people can be honking because they're a taxi driver and they're offering you a ride, or you might be in their way, or they're just saying hello. We really don't know, but be prepared to hear a lot of honking. Another tip I'm sure you've heard everywhere is that the water in Bali is not safe to drink, and so we ended up buying water bottles at the mini marts, and they were super cheap and necessary to stay hydrated. So that brings me to my next point. When we were So that brings me to my next point. Because we consumed so many plastic water bottles while we were there, it made me very sad, even though it was necessary, because there was so much garbage in Bali, like on the streets and in the rivers and in the jungle. And so I just want to encourage you to try and leave a place cleaner than you found it. Make sure that whatever garbage you're producing gets put into a garbage can and not tossed on the side of the road. And don't let all the garbage that's already there encourage you to just add to it. As a Canadian who pays ridiculous prices for roaming charges, the best thing about Bali was there was Wi-Fi everywhere. Because we were on vacation, we really only used our phones for taking pictures, calling cabs, and using Google Maps to get around. And this was super easy to do because a lot of places offer free Wi-Fi. If you are in a pinch, everybody in Bali is so friendly. We even had a couple girls offer to call a cab for us when we weren't able to get on a Wi-Fi. Hi Mom, can I call you back? Sure. Okay, thanks. Bye. Another tip I have for you is when you're ready to leave a restaurant, you need to ask for your bill. It is not like North America where they can tell that you're ready to go and they bring you your bill. Otherwise, you're just sitting there like... You need to ask. We found this out the hard way and spent a lot of time just waiting there, so make sure you ask your server for your bill. Another tip I have for you is don't be afraid to shop around at all of the markets in Bali because you will find the same stuff everywhere. And you have to bargain. This tip was actually given to us by one of our Gojek drivers, and he told us that if you're not bargaining up to at least 50% off, you're getting ripped off. And if you're super good at bargaining, you can probably get it for even up to 70% off. The last tip I have for you is make sure you pack your own travel size shampoo, conditioner, and body wash. I made the mistake of being like, oh, we're staying at a hotel the first few nights. They always have travel size shampoo and conditioner. I'll just take it when we leave. That was a mistake. I swear the shampoo, conditioner, and body wash was all the same formula, except different colors. So if you like having clean hair, just pack your own. It's a small thing, but it makes a world of difference, especially when it's like 1000% humidity and your hair is dirty every single day. If you're looking for some more inspiration in planning your trip to Bali, be sure to check out my last 2 videos as well, and make sure you like and subscribe down below because it really helps support my channel and I'm having so much fun making these videos and I want to continue doing it. Thanks so much, bye!